Welcome back, yogis. I'm excited for today because it's such a fun mixture of all kinds of different poses, balance, hamstring, opening up all the different joints. So I hope you enjoy today's practice. As always, do what is best for your body. Find child's pose if you need a break, or challenge yourself if there's a particular variation that you want to practice or that you like better. We'll go ahead and start seated today. Find a comfortable seated position. That can be hero's pose, supported with a block. It could be with crossed legs. If your hips are already open enough to go right into full lotus, feel free. The important thing here is to find a position where you can have a nice long spine so you can breathe freely, feeling that breath fill you from the bottom towards the top. Fill the belly first, and then as the breath starts to lengthen and grow, you can start to feel more of the body. On every exhale, feel a relaxation, a release around the neck and the shoulders. Let gravity pull the shoulders away from the ears, keeping the long spine but feeling at peace with that length. Just a few more breaths here, keeping the breath balanced. Same amount of time in, same amount of time out. And remembering that today's practice should be driven by the breath rather than going through the movements and trying to catch up with the breath. Go ahead and uncross the legs and lean back slightly, coming right into boat pose. You can keep the toes on the ground or pick the feet up so that they're parallel with the ground. Or you can challenge yourself right off the bat, create lots of fire in the belly and extend the legs. Continue to keep the shoulders away from the ears. And then slowly drop down, tap the shoulders and the heels, and then rise back up. A few more reps like that. Moving the upper body and the lower body at the same time. Using lots of control. Going as slow as you need. Slow is always better. Go ahead and roll forward, coming into table. Knees right under the hips. Wrists under the shoulders, and a few cat-cow breaths here. Rolling all the way through the spine, from the crown of the head out through the tailbone, creating that arch and that round. Come back to a neutral spine, and we're going to cross back over the legs and roll over the ankles, coming back to your boat pose. Take a few more dips, dipping the shoulders and the heels at the same time. Really warming up the core right off the bat, creating lots of heat. It's a beautiful day, but it's still chilly, so we need that heat so we can get into some deeper poses. Roll back to table and take a few more cat-cow breaths. Create lots of length in the spine as you really roll through every single vertebrae. We'll take one more breath, rounding and arching. Exhale, round. And then this time as we arch, you're going to tuck the toes, keep the length in the lower spine, in the lumbar spine, and push the hips back to our first down dog. Keep the knees bent. You can walk the heels one heel at a time. Again, working with the breath. So rather than stomping the heels back and forth, inhale, sink one heel, exhale the other. Continue to keep the length in the lower back as you start to warm up the legs and lengthen the hamstrings. Few more breaths here. And then inhale forward to plank. Exhale, down dog. Warming up the shoulders. Inhale forward. Exhale, hips push back. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, last time. Exhale, down dog. Go ahead and jump or step the feet forward on your exhale, forward fold, and then inhale, rise all the way up to mountain. Hands come back to your heart, and then inhale, lengthen the spine to the sky and keep that length as you fold forward. Inhale, flat back, fingertips can come to the shins if you don't quite have that extension yet. And then exhale, gently step back to plank. No chaturanga yet, just push the hips back to down dog, and inhale, one foot comes up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Adding even more core work, warming up the body a little bit more. Again, exhale. Inhale, reach out through the heel. Long lines as you inhale to that split down dog. Exhale and bring the foot all the way through and come up to warrior one. The knee, front knee is right on top of the ankle, and the heel should be in the same line as the back heel. If you need a little bit more space because your hips are tight, you can walk that back foot towards the edge of the mat. Go ahead and exhale, release, and take your first chaturanga. Inhaling to up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Opposite side, pick up the foot. Almost not enough room there for me, but I wanted to get the full camera angle. And again, working with the core, knee to nose. Inhale, extend. Exhale, squeeze the belly button to the spine. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, create that heat, and then go ahead and step the foot all the way through, finding warrior one. So this can be a very intense hip flexor opener, which is why if you spread the feet a little farther apart, that will take some of the intensity away, and you can work on squaring the hips and then bringing the feet more in a line as you find more openness. Release and flow through your vinyasa. From down dog, take another breath, and then exhale, jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, flat back, and release. And then reverse swan dive all the way towards the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale, hinge at the hips, rounding at the last moment to get lots of length in the spine. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and jump or step to plank to flow through chaturanga. Back bend of your choice, and then down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up, hips stay square to the ground, big toe towards the ground. Exhale, knee to the same elbow. And we're going to just stay on this side. Inhaling, split down dog. Exhale, tapping the knee to the elbow. Inhale. Exhale, tap, and then step it all the way through. And this time we'll come up to warrior one, just for a brief breath here, and then cactus the arms, engaging the upper back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, opening the heart, and then release the hands behind and interlock the fingers. If you prefer the cactus arms because of the range of motion in your shoulders, that's perfectly fine. And then we'll go ahead and roll ourselves forward, dropping the crown of the head towards the ground, shoulder on the inside of the knee, floating next to the knee, trying not to rest on that front thigh. Release back up to warrior one, and then hands come to the ground and flow through your vinyasa. Maybe challenge yourself and keep that foot floating. Make your way back to down dog. And then we'll work on the other side, starting with Firing up the core first, tapping the knee to the elbow, and inhale, extend. Exhale, really use the obliques. And one more time. Exhale, contract the abs, tap the knee to the elbow, and then bring the foot in between the hands and rise up, warrior one. One full breath here, and then cactus the arms, squeezing the elbows into an imaginary wall behind you. If you decide to release and interlock the fingers, make sure the opposite thumb is on top, drawing the knuckles down the back thigh, really opening up the heart. And then keep the chest open as you roll forward. Depending on your range of motion, you might let the hands hang slightly over the head, opening up the chest and the shoulders even more, but please listen to your body and the range of motion in your shoulders. Release, come back up to warrior one, and then the hands come to the ground. Maybe keep that foot floating as you flow through chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog or cobra is still always an option. Down dog. And then on your next exhale, jump or step the feet forward, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift, and release. Inhale, rise all the way up. Lots of length in the spine, not necessarily an arch in the back, more about lengthening, growing tall. This time after our mountain, we'll fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release, and jump or step to plank or right into chaturanga to flow through your vinyasa. From down dog, we'll pick up one foot again. Hips stay square, big toe pointed towards the ground, and this time we're going to exhale and cross the knee to the opposite elbow. Working with your breath, exhale to cross, inhale, extend. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen, reach through the heel. One more time, exhale, and then step the foot through. This time we'll windmill the hands up and come to warrior two. And on an exhale, sink the back hand down the back leg, coming into reverse warrior. Now I want you to think about the twist that we just created from down dog. And on your next exhale, lengthen the front leg and create that same twist as you roll forward into a revolved triangle, using the strength of the core to create the twist rather than trying to use leverage against that bottom leg to create the twist. Soften the front knee and come into warrior one. Take a breath and then release to flow through your vinyasa. Making your way to down dog, finding lots of length in the lower back and picking up the opposite leg. Exhale, sweep it under the body, tap the opposite elbow and extend. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, inhale back. Last time, exhale, tap. And then bring that foot in between the hands, windmill up, warrior two. On an exhale, reverse your warrior, dragging that back hand down the back thigh, resting very lightly on the thigh. And then on an exhale, extend the front leg and windmill the hands down, coming into revolved triangle, making sure that as you twist, you're squaring your hips, squeezing with the core to create the twist, and then trying to stack the shoulders. Release and come back to warrior one. Take an inhale. And then exhale, hands come to the ground and flow through your vinyasa. Find down dog and take an inhale. And then exhale right away, jump or step back to the front of the mat. Inhaling to a flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep the hands up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and then release, jump or step back to chaturanga. Inhaling up dog, exhale down dog. Inhale, one foot comes up, and then exhale. No core work this time, just bring the foot all the way through and find warrior one. From warrior one, release the hands behind your back and find prayer in between your shoulder blades. If this is too much, you can hold on to each elbow. Inhale, lengthen the front leg, and exhale, fold over that front leg, coming into pyramid pose. Trying to keep lots of length in the back, so you're rounding at the last moment, really trying to lengthen. Find your balance on that front leg and step forward into warrior three. Soften the knee and gently step back. Release your hands. And now we'll find warrior two. On your exhale, reverse your warrior, opening up your front side. Not too much pressure on that back hand. And then exhale, shift forward, coming into extended side angle. You can rest the elbow on the knee very, very lightly, or you can extend the hand to the ground. Bring your gaze forward and step into the front leg, coming into half moon, trying to stack the shoulders, stack the hips. Maybe play with your balance by either taking your gaze away from the ground or maybe trying to pick up the bottom hand. Gently step back to warrior two and then release and flow through your vinyasa. We'll make our way to the other side. So again, on this side, no core work. So inhale, the foot comes up. Exhale, bring it all the way through and lift into warrior one. Take a breath here, and then release the hands behind, bringing them into prayer in between your shoulder blades, and opening up the heart. Lengthen the chest towards the sky. On an exhale, lengthen the front leg and fold over. You don't even have to round if you don't want to. You can just focus on keeping lots of length, reaching the nose past the knee. Go ahead and soften the front leg and try to come up into warrior three. If you wobble like I did, it's totally fine. Take your time. It's great if you can make it one fluid movement. That's what we want to work towards. Go ahead and release and come into warrior two. And then exhale, the back hand goes down the back leg. It's good to have goals in yoga as long as you're not too hard on yourself when you wobble on your way to achieving the goals. If you haven't already, go ahead and shift forward into extended side angle, lengthening that top side, and then bringing your focus a few inches in front of the standing foot and coming into half moon on the other side. Again, challenge yourself, bring the gaze away from the ground, walk your gaze up the wall, or try to float the bottom fingers. Gently step back to warrior two, take an inhale, and then release the hands on the exhale and flow through chaturanga. Inhaling up dog, exhale down dog. One inhale in down dog, and then exhale, jump or step the feet forward, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise up, mountain. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, follow your prayer hands down to the ground. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, jump or step back, flowing through your vinyasa. Making your way to down dog. Inhale, split down dog, reach through the heel, hips stay square. Exhale, bring that foot all the way through and find warrior one once again. Take an inhale. And then on your exhale, we're going to cactus the arms again, open the heart, And then bring the elbows forward, coming into eagle arms. One arm wrapped on top of the other, wrapping the palms as well if you can, and pulling the fingertips towards the sky. Tiny back bend here. Lengthen the front leg, and exhale. Now we're going to fold forward and pull the elbows towards the knee. Soften that front leg and step into warrior three. See, another opportunity to practice your balance and that transition. Come back up to upright, and now we're going to find full eagle, wrapping the legs as well. So that floating leg comes forward, up high over the standing leg, wrapping the toe around the calf or the ankle if you can, and then release back to warrior three. Soften the standing leg and step back to warrior one. You can open up the chest again with those cactus arms or go right to warrior one. We're going to come into another twist. So you can do this twist with the back foot flat, the heel on the ground, or you can come up onto the ball of the back foot, which is a little bit easier if you have tight hips, and it feels much better for me with my knee. Go ahead and step forward for revolved half moon. The key here is to keep the hips square to the ground. The more you can square off the hips, the easier it will be for you to twist through the torso. And always feel free to grab a block for that bottom hand if you need it. Coming back into warrior one just for a breath, and then releasing through your vinyasa, making your way to the other side. From down dog, the opposite foot rises up, reach through the heel. Exhale, bring that foot all the way through, right in between the hands, and come up to warrior one first. We're going to go back into those eagle arms. So cactus the arms wide, open up the heart, and then when you're ready, bring the opposite elbow underneath, wrapping the palms together, and then reaching those hands to the sky as high as you can. Lengthen the front leg and exhale, fold for pyramid, just for a moment. And then we're going to soften the knee of the standing leg and try to make that transition to warrior three again. I think this side is just a little bit more challenging for me, which is okay. Every side is different. From warrior three, gently come back up, try to keep your balance. And that floating leg is going to come in front, high, wrapping over the standing leg, hooking the toes around the calf, sinking the hips down and back for eagle. The more you can sink into that standing leg, the easier it will be to wrap the toes around the calf. Release and come back to warrior three just for a moment, and then soften the knee and step back, releasing the hands, maybe taking another cactus arm. And then we're going to go into our twist. So you can take a prayer twist instead if that's a little bit easier for you, or you can try to keep the arms open, keeping the bottom arm on the outside of the knee, and then gently step forward for your revolved half moon. That standing leg is as close to straight as you can, so use the block if you have tight hamstrings. Back leg is as close to parallel. Gently step back, warrior one, and then release, flow through your vinyasa. From down dog, take an inhale, and then exhale, gently jump or step the feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, fold. Now remember at the beginning of class I said let your breath drive your practice rather than the other way around. And sometimes it's hard to do that when you are flowing. So let's take a few breaths here as we hang and forward fold to reconnect with our breath and make sure that that's the driving factor in our practice, not flowing through all the different poses and movements. Release the hands and inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, gently step to plank. We're going to slow it down just a little bit here. Soften the knees to the ground and push back to child's pose. Again, slowing the breath, reconnecting with the breath, making sure that the breath is the first and foremost important thing in our practice. And then we're going to shift forward and come into table pose. And we're going to do a little bit more core work. So if you need to, soften up the surface underneath one knee and extend the opposite leg straight back, trying to keep the body nice and flat. Opposite arm comes out in front. On an exhale, you're going to curve under the body, tap the elbow to the knee, and then inhale to flat. This is the hard part. Curving and squeezing is pretty natural, but coming back to flat and not letting the back arch can be a little bit more challenging. One more time. Come back to flat, squeeze the lower belly so that the spine doesn't arch. And now we're going to take a slight back bend, grabbing the foot with the hand. So it's kind of a twisted back bend, opposite foot and hand. Gently release, come back to that flat spine, and then the hand comes to the ground, and we're going to open up, roll the floating hip up, stack it on top of the other hip, coming into a modified side plank. And then we're going to take those same crunches from here, opposite elbow to knee, same elbow to knee, connecting, using your core to keep your balance. If you really struggle with balance here, you can take the foot of the bottom leg and kick it out behind you, create a tripod. Let's grab a hold of the foot again, pushing the foot into the hand, creating another slight back bend. Should feel very reminiscent of dancer pose. And then go ahead and release the hand to the ground and pick up your bottom knee and find plank. We're going to roll over to side plank, so working on the same side, and we're going to have a few twists here. You can always drop the knee to the ground again if this is too challenging. Otherwise, inhale to the sky, exhale, really twist under the body. Create that twist using your core. There's nothing really to use for leverage here, so it's great practice to use the core. Come back to center and soften the knees to the ground. Take child's pose, reconnect with the breath. The breath is what's driving all of these movements. Connecting a movement with an inhale or an exhale, depending on, if you're contracting the core or not, that should be connected with your exhales. Come back up to table on the other side, softening up the surface under the knee if you need it, and extending opposite arm and leg, finding a nice flat back. Don't let the lower spine arch. That's where we tend to drop first because we're not engaging our abs. Exhale, tap underneath. Inhale to extend. You're extending in a straight line, not arching the back. Lengthen. Exhale, tap, and lengthen. Find that twisted back bend again, connecting the floating arm with the floating leg, opposite arm and leg, pushing the foot into the hand to create the tiny back bend, and then gently release, and the hand comes to the ground, the foot stays floating. Roll that hip open, again kicking out the bottom foot behind you, creating a tripod for balance. And then when you're ready, we're going to take those same crunches, same side, same elbow and knee tap. Extend, lengthen, and tap on the exhale. So you naturally contract your core when you exhale, which is why I always have you exhaling when you're contracting. Find that dancer variation on this side again. Push the foot into your hand. That will help you balance. And then release and come into plank. So both legs straighten behind you, knees off the ground. Roll the heels to the opposite side, side plank, and then exhale as you twist. Inhale to the sky. Exhale, really reach as far as you can behind you, maintaining your balance as you twist. And then lengthening on the inhale, reaching the fingertips to the sky. Come back to center, back to plank. Soften the knees to the ground and push back to child's pose. One more breath here, lengthening out through the tailbone, relaxing the forehead towards the ground. Knees can be opened or closed. And then we are going to roll over our ankles, coming to boat, just like we did at the very beginning of practice. So again, it's up to you how challenging you want to make boat by extending the legs or bending the knees. We'll take the same taps that we did at the beginning of practice, trying to tap the shoulder blades and the heels to the ground at the exact same time. So your upper body and lower body are moving together. This time from boat, we'll release the feet to the ground and push the hips to the sky, reverse plank. This is really great because boat, it really does do kind of a lot of work on your hip flexors, so you need to open them back up with some kind of reverse. It can be reverse plank or reverse table. So go ahead and settle in and bring one foot to the inside of the opposite leg. Inhale up to the sky and then exhale, fold over that extended leg, grabbing a hold of whatever you can reach. Maybe it's your ankle. Maybe you can wrap the hands all the way around the bottom of the foot. Make sure you're engaging by a couple things. Squeezing your core towards your spine to give you more space and more support in the lower back to extend further. And then maybe engage the arms as well. Pull the shoulders into their sockets, elbows towards the ground, arm strengthener there as well. Release, and we're going to find an easy twist, hooking the opposite elbow over the knee. Back hand is behind your spine for support. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, use the strength of the core to twist. Gently release, and we'll find boat one more time. Lots of core work today, but it's really important because not only does it support your spine in forward folds, but it also helps you have safe twists and stronger twists. So after a few more taps here, we'll go ahead and lengthen the hip flexors out one more time. Hands come behind, reverse your plank, hips go to the sky. Open up the front of your body, and then gently release the hips to the ground. Opposite foot comes to the inside of the thigh. Inhale, hands towards the sky, lengthen. Exhale, fold out over that extended leg. One of the biggest things that I have learned over the years is to really use my core in these forward folds. The more I engage my core, the more I squeeze my belly button towards my spine, the more my lower back doesn't strain, and so I can lean forward farther and lengthen the hamstrings more by taking the pressure away from the lower back. Go ahead and rise back up and find your twist, hooking the opposite elbow around the knee. Backhand is there for support. Keep that bottom leg engaged, reaching out through the heel, and create your twist with your breath. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist. Gently release. And one more time. I think this is the last time we're going to find boat pose. I know it's a lot of core work, a lot of strain on those hip flexors. 4 more taps here with your heels and shoulder blades tapping at the same time. And then release the feet. Hips push to the sky, reverse plank. open up the front of the body. And this time when we release the hips, we're going to extend both legs, keep both legs extended out. Inhale to the sky, exhale, fold. Grab a hold of whatever you can reach. Lengthen the crown of the head towards the toes or the nose past the knees. Engage the arms, pull the shoulder blades onto the back, shoulders in their sockets, pulling with the biceps, elbows towards the ground. Engaging but not straining. So there is a line that you don't want to cross there. Go ahead and release, come back to staff. And then we're going to pick up the hips and try to pick up the heels for an L-sit. This is really challenging if you don't have blocks, so just do what you can. If only your hips come up, that's perfectly fine. Let's try it again, but this time with wide legs, which I think is actually a little easier. So one hand in between the legs, other hand by your hip. Engage the abs, pick the hips up off the ground, and then try to lift the heels. Opposite side, try to lift the heels up. You're really squeezing with the lower belly to try to pick the heels up like a lever. Pick a long lever off the ground. It's very challenging, so give yourself a break if that's a little too much for you. We're going to go ahead and come back to the center of our mat and roll down onto our backs. Push up for a bridge pose, a gentle bridge, opening up the hip flexors again. Boat, like I said, is very challenging for your hip flexors, but the L-sits might even be more so. So it's great to follow up with some type of hip opener. We're going to intensify that a little bit by taking one leg and crossing the ankle over the knee, dropping your floating knee down towards the ground, opening up the hip flexor a little bit more on that side, and then carefully switch sides. So your hips are still high in bridge, but you're crossing one ankle over the knee like a figure 4, opening up the knee, which will open up your hip a little bit more. Come back to bridge again, and then exhale, curve the spine to the ground, one vertebrae at a time. Knees come towards your chest. Give yourself a little rock, side to side. Massage out the back. Reconnect with your breath. If you notice that the breath wasn't really driving the poses anymore, release the feet to the ground, and you can take bridge again, or you can find wheel. In wheel pose, I want you to make sure that you're trying to keep the knees and feet parallel to each other. My toes have sprawled out just a little bit, so in a perfect world, I would try to realign them. Gently roll back down, whether you're coming back down from bridge or wheel. And then we'll bring the knees to the chest one more time. Rock side to side. If you want to take one more back bend, feel free. Or if you'd like to take an inversion, this would be the opportunity. Otherwise, we are going to cactus the arms and take those bent knees over to one side for an easy twist. If you want more of a challenge, you can extend the legs and grab a hold of the feet. If you want less of a challenge, tee the arms instead of cactusing them, which will be a little less intense on the chest. Go ahead and exhale back to center. And then we're going to twist over to the other side. So if you need to adjust your hips, you can do that. I have run out of room. Interesting little twist here when you have the wall. It's actually not a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to use the wall as a prop for support. One more breath on this side. And then we'll soften the knees and exhale, bring the knees back to center. Release the feet to the ground. And gently open up the knees, soles of the feet touching. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart, and reconnect with your breath. As we discussed several times today, let your breath drive your practice. So you can stay here with the knees open for as long as you'd like, but I do want you to spend enough time in Shavasana. So if you're ready to go ahead and transition, you can lengthen the legs, relax the arms at your sides. Even though that goddess pose does feel really relaxing sometimes at the end of class, we want to eventually find Shavasana so that there's no compression in any part of our body, no stretching. We want the body to be able to relax completely, let the blood flow through completely. So that's why it's important to maybe take a few breaths in goddess, but eventually find Shavasana. Stay in Shavasana as long as you would like. I recommend at least a few minutes, but if you are pressed for time, you can go ahead and roll yourself back up to an upright position. And we'll go ahead and close out our practice for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your practice. I know that there was quite a bit of variety today, but variety is the spice of life. If you're still in Shavasana, please continue to breathe and enjoy your Shavasana. And I look forward to you joining me next time. Namaste.